You're sitting on a high-value music catalog. It's your primary asset. But right now, your strategy is let's hurry up and wait. But while you wait for the right time to move into immersive audio, your asset is depreciating and your artist's legacy is at risk. You see the 10% royalty bonus from Apple. You see the Eclipse audio integration on YouTube and the Auro-3D wave on audiophile superfan platforms. You see the Vision Pro and the Meta Quest. All these are changing how fans experience music. And yet, you haven't moved. Why? I'm Pat Mavromatis. I've mixed iconic records in Dolby Atmos like Roberta Flack's Killing Me Softly and Feel Like Making Love. And today, we're cutting through the excuses. I'm going to tell you exactly why your team is paralyzed and why that paralysis is the single biggest threat to your artist's legacy. Let's start with a quick look at behavioral economics, which gives us a clear look at why you're stuck. There are two specific glitches in the human brain, and those pesky little things are costing you money right now. The first is loss aversion, identified by Nobel laureates Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. It's the biological reality that the pain of a potential loss, like a bad immersive mix, is twice as psychologically powerful as the pleasure of a potential gain, like that Apple 10% royalty uplift. The second is the status quo bias, a concept formalized by William Samuelson and Richard Zeckhauser. This is the irrational preference for the current state of affairs. Your brain is telling you that doing nothing is the neutral, safe baseline. But here's the truth, well, the way I see it at least. Doing nothing isn't a neutral move. It's a choice to ignore listener behavior. Let me explain. Two scenarios here. The first, there is no Atmos mix. Imagine this. Listener excited to start listening to some tunes. AirPods on or home system all fired up. Starts listening. Song 1 in Atmos. Sounds great. Song 2, same. Song 3, yep. Starting to get into the flow. Song 4. Oops. What happened? The experience changed. Well, no Atmos. Skip. Second scenario. Same as before, but Song 4 does have an Atmos mix, but it's an underwhelming, let's tick the checkbox mix, maybe even, God forbid, an old school automated one from back in the day, you know, the ones that we are still fighting all the damage they did to immersive audio. Those ones, yeah. So that mix fails to keep the listener engaged. It fails to keep excitement going. And before even 30 seconds pass, skip. On platforms like Apple Music, the friction of the bad mix leads to a massive negative signal in those very important for the algo first 30 seconds. So, lots of people skip, and what does the algorithm do? It buries the track. Long story short, by playing it safe or trying to avoid the perceived loss, you are succumbing to a psychological bias that is hurting your artist's legacy and their relationship with their fans. Let's now shift to something we all know and love: politics. Internal and external. I know the legal battles over IP rights and the estates that are fighting labels over who owns what. Endless, not fun. But there's also simpler things, like management not agreeing with the label's approach. If you are an artist manager, you don't want your artist's sound being put through a generic automated app mixer, though thankfully that doesn't happen very often these days. Or you don't want to get a cheap app mix that would just tick the box. You want quality, but you also want creative control, something that you may or may not get depending on the contracts you signed. And that refers to parties on either side of the table, either management or label. But here's the danger. While you fight over all these, sometimes for years, no, really, for years, your competitors are securing the prime real estate on Apple Music and YouTube, which is more and more pushing Eclipse audio content to its gazillion users. Legal gridlock is just another word for asset decay, friends. You need a workflow that satisfies both the legal department and those that care the creative identity is protected. Now, let's talk about the money you're leaving on the table. This isn't just about the 10% Apple bonus, though that alone justifies the investment, especially for artists with a healthy stream count. Number one, the YouTube Eclipse factor. Most execs right now don't realize that YouTube, the biggest music discovery platform on earth, is moving into immersive through Eclipse Audio. If you aren't delivering an Eclipse-ready master, you might be failing your YouTube strategy, friends. Number two, future-proofing and stop paying twice. If you mix for Atmos only, or God forbid, stereo only, you are setting yourself up to pay for a new mix in 24 months. When you work with a single source of truth workflow, like we do, you get an object-based master that is ready for Auro-3D, Eclipse, and whatever comes next. We actually provide all these deliverables in one package, so the next is really a now. Number three, the Vision Pro XR reality. I understand that this does not have the mass market appeal just yet, but a lot of your fans are already wearing the speakers on their faces. If you are not at least planning for your music to be available in high fidelity immersive formats for VR XR platforms, you are effectively opting out of the next decade of fan engagement. Fear of change is just a lack of data. You are avoiding immersive because you don't have a partner you trust to handle the DNA of your music. At the Living Room Studios, we don't do technical conversions or click the checkbox app mixes. We do legacy preservation and future proofing through immersive audio, all while doing justice to all these wonderful recordings. So stop letting your catalog collect digital dust in a two-dimensional box. The royalty uplift is real, the fan experience is exceptional, and the cost of waiting is higher than the cost of doing it right. Click the link in the description to request a project briefing. We'll look at your assets and build a plan to future-proof your artist's legacy.